Hi everyone, it's Brian here at Activate. So I had a really interesting conversation with one of the coaches here at Activate recently, and it was around putting out content for health and fitness in general. And I guess it's a bit of a minefield when you talk about putting out content because it's very hard to deliver context when you talk about health and fitness. What I mean by that is if we're putting out a piece of content, it may not be relevant to the individual. So health and fitness is absolutely nuanced to the individual, and there should always be context delivered with any advice. Yes, there are underlying principles that certainly can apply to most instances, but just coming out with broad sweeping statements around things doesn't really help anybody. It might work for somebody, then again it might not. What we're going to try and do, and what we've been trying to do with our content in the past and going forward, is to I suppose put a little bit of context around everything that we put out. If we're talking about gaining results, what person A does to get those results that they want is totally different to what person B does. First of all, person A's results and what success means to them is entirely different to what person B's success and what their journey is. So there always has to be context around it. Yes, we can deliver, I suppose, generalized advice and based upon, very, very fundamental principles that don't change. But there is absolutely so much nuance involved in giving out and dispensing advice for you and your health and fitness journey. And it's irresponsible to come out with broad sweeping statements that don't really apply to everybody. Hence the reason that there is a need for fitness coaches. Information typically is not the problem. You can Google your answers, whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. You can certainly Google an answer and you can get that. I suppose it takes a bit more experience to understand that. You've got to understand the guiding principles, you've got to understand the research that's behind something, and then you've got to have experience in practicing these principles and delivering results to people to actually deliver that context depending on what the individual is presenting with. I hope that makes sense. I hope I haven't rambled totally incoherently, but I suppose what I'm trying to say is it's very, very difficult to answer a question to the general population. It's very, very difficult to deliver context to an individual via a video message that goes out to everybody. So when you're listening to advice, or when you look at advice, particularly on social media around health and fitness, you've got to have a lot of filters, and you've got to be able to separate and distinguish what might be relevant to you to what mightn't be. The best piece of advice I could give you is to find a coach who knows what they're talking about and who can guide you towards the information that's most relevant and guide you towards what's going to work for you, because that's absolutely different for everybody. Okay guys, if anyone has any questions at all, please be sure to drop me a line.